For the people in
That's
West
your
Dallas.
time. Thank you.
Can somebody vote for me a minute?
That's your
for
time.
the people that's dying in
Thank
West
you.
Dallas. Nobody, no white or nothing.
Your next speaker, Serena Nolan.
I'm gonna give everyone an early warning, an early preview of how this day is going to go. We don't actually allow for outbursts and a lot of demonstration during these meetings, so I'm going to ask you guys to be mindful of that for the rest of the day. We're not going to be able to have rounds of applause between every speaker, so I'm going to give you a warning now to please restrain yourselves and keep from demonstrating that way. So go ahead. You have 2 minutes. Every speaker is going to have 2 minutes this morning. Is that right?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. Local writer is self-identified snarky princess, repeated along with the other bought and paid for local media outlets, the same bought and paid for PR piece that she entitled, "Putting a Lid on Fluoride." Well, not so fast. I'm sure you all are as tired of listening to concerned citizens as we are as coming down here week after week, but we will not stop until you stop this insane policy of poisoning our water. I would like to address today the issue of environmental racism of this policy. The Pennsylvania for Safer Water has identified 6 points that make the fluoridation of our water a racist policy. Number 1, urban drinking water systems are more likely to be fluoridated than suburban ones, affecting blacks and Hispanics more than whites. Philadelphia, a large urban population, heavy black, fluoridated. Main line, white, Tony, no fluoridation. Number 2, chemicals used in fluoridation increase the absorption of lead. This lead absorption effect is more pronounced in black and Hispanic populations, and the city of Dallas should be super sensitive to this. Maybe you all are too young to remember the 60s and 70s, but I grew up in Dallas. We'd come over on the Dallas-Fort Worth Turnpike, my mother and I, to shop at North Park. And boy, when we hit West Dallas there on 30, we had gagged, held our nose. It was the most phenomenal stench in the world. But of course, being from Fort Worth, we just hold our nose and say, well, we're in Dallas now. Anyway, the council then could maybe take a little bit of cover in the fact that environmental science was just in its infancy. You all do not have that cover now. This policy is racist.
That's your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Rick North. Rick North.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. I can see you as well. You may continue.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rick North, and I'm from Wellesley, Massachusetts. I worked 21 years for the American Cancer Society, the last 5 as CEO of the Oregon chapter, and then 7 years for the Physicians for Social Responsibility before retiring. For years, I favored fluoridation. I trusted the 2 main promoters, the CDC and American Dental Association. But once I reviewed the science, I changed my mind. I had misplaced my trust. The risks, including brain damage, hypothyroidism, and bone fractures, are so serious that I volunteered for the last 11 years nationwide to oppose it. What do leading U.S. authorities say on just one issue? Brain damage to babies. Dr. Dimitri Christakis, a Seattle physician and editor of the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, quoted from the Washington Post, "I would not have my wife drink fluoridated water if she were pregnant." Dr. Linda Birnbaum, retired director of the National Toxicology Program and former president of the National Society of Toxicology, quote, "New evidence suggests that fluoride is toxic to the developing brain at levels routinely found in the general population." Finally, a quote from the National Toxicology Program itself: "After 6 years of review, the data support a consistent inverse association between fluoride exposure and children's IQ. Several of the highest quality studies showing lower IQs in children were done in optimally fluoridated areas." The final chapter has not been written on fluoridation. Shouldn't it be proven safe for everyone? And isn't it obvious it hasn't been proven safe for anyone? Thank you.
Thank you. To Ally Raskin. Ms. Raskin? No audio.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. You may continue.
Okay, changed all the settings. Thank you guys so much for your time. I'm not going to talk about anything along those lines, but I could talk to you about the dangers of fluoride and all the studies showing this, but I know you've already received this information from experts. So what I want to talk to you about is the money. There are many articles written now about how our scientific studies are now bought and paid for by vested interest. Who pays for any fluoride study that say that fluoride is safe? The big corporations who sell fluoride. I find it interesting that one of our city council members during the last meeting proudly stated that she worked for Johnson & Johnson, who sells fluoridated products. This is the same Johnson & Johnson who knowingly sold dangerous products for years to babies and children and was sued in court. This is the same Johnson & Johnson that formed a shell corporation so that they didn't have to pay the massive lawsuit or go bankrupt because of it. Who funds the fluoridation of our water, which by my calculations costs around $1.7 million a year to Dallas taxpayers? The taxpayers. Who drinks the water? The taxpayers. We are paying our own money to poison ourselves. Maybe it is time that our elected officials start listening to the constituents, or you could be liable for a lawsuit. You've been told our concerns around the safety of fluoride. It would be wise to start listening to your constituents. Thank you for your time.